Hello, everyone, and welcome to our week 2 session of Photoshop. I am so glad that you all are here, and I am thrilled with what I've seen from week 1. You guys have done a fabulous job of following directions and getting your assignments turned in on time. And I really appreciate that because I was thrilled to see so many A's here in the first week. Give yourselves a pat on the back. And I can definitely see from the comments in the grade book and the emails that I've been getting that you guys are loving Photoshop and you're already experimenting and going above and beyond what we've just covered in class. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And you know, I know all of you have never used Photoshop before, and you are doing exactly what you should be doing, which is you're following the directions, you're coming to class, and in addition to coming to class, I see you guys are going on YouTube and looking up some Photoshop tutorials and finding out new interesting techniques and tips and things that you can do with this program. So that is fantastic. Thank you so much. At the beginning of class here, I saw there were a couple students, maybe 1 or 2, who said they were going to come to class because they wanted help with their week 1 assessment. They were having some difficulty getting the line art on the multiply blending mode. Give me either a little smiley face or a little like raise your hand if that was one of you, because I've had so many emails from excited students over the past couple of days that I lose track of whose name is who. So if any of you are one of those students who requested to get help with their week 1 assessment here in class today, let me know. Okay, was that you, James? Okay, perfect. So what I'd like you to do, James, is, and was it you, Matthew? Okay, I think it was James and Matthew who wanted some help with the week 1 assessment. So what I'd like you both to do is pull up the week 1 assessment on your Photoshop right now. And then after I do this little introduction, I will switch the class over to you and I will walk you through how to do the assessment, and you'll find that it's actually really easy. I just love the colors that you guys picked for your assessment. I had so many like projects that were just rainbows, and you guys did and you guys experimented too. You didn't just do the painting that I did in class. Some of you used gradients and stamps and shapes, and you guys were really creative. So thank you so much. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is photo retouching, which is probably the most important thing that you guys need to learn as Photoshop, as graphic designers, because this is probably going to be the #1 thing that you'll do as an entry-level graphic designer is retouching. You'll get like a stack full of photos and you'll be asked to retouch them. This is also a really great way to earn a little bit of side income while you're in school. A lot of students have joined Fiverr. Anyone know what Fiverr is? It's a website where you do different things for $5. So you can put up there, you know, I will retouch your social media photos for $5, right? And that's just a great way where you can earn a little bit of money while you're in school at the same time. Photoshop retouching is really popular on there, also Upwork. So this is what we're going to cover this week, the photo retouching. We're going to use our adjustment layers. We're going to colorize a black and white image. So we're going to have a really good time this week. Okay, what I'll do is I'm going to turn this over to James. So James, go ahead and hit the share screen button that is right in the middle of your screen right now. And if you have Photoshop open, you might need to switch over just for a sec to Zoom. And then there you go, start your screen share. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to walk you through this. So first step is double click on where it says background. So see, go over to the layers panel. See the layers panel? Yeah, and see where it says background? Just move your cursor down where it says background. There you go. And double click on that word background. Nope. Yep. Just double click on it. Now click OK. Cool. Now you're going to hit Shift Command N. And that is the shortcut key to make a new layer. And if you don't have that written down, definitely write that down. Shift Command N, and you're going to click OK. Good. And now you're going to click on where it says Layer 1. And you're going to drag layer 1 underneath layer 0. Perfect. Now you're going to click on layer 0. And see where it says normal, just slightly above layer 0, it says normal. Click on that, and you're going to select multiply. Very good. And then you're going to click on the little lock icon, which is just right between layer 0 and multiply. Good. Just click on it. Good. And now you're going to go over to the left side of the screen, and you're going to click on the magic wand tool. Cool, perfect. And now you will go and put that magic wand right inside of one of the shapes that you want to colorize. And make sure you're not clicking on the line, make sure you're clicking on the shape, and you can hit Command + to zoom in. So you just click inside a little shape, perfect. And now you're going to go over to layer 1. See where it says layer 1? You're going to click on layer 1. Yep. And then you're going to go to the paint bucket tool on the left side of the screen, which is right there. Good. And you're going to select the paint bucket tool. And then you're going to click where the point of your arrow inside that selection that you made. Click. Good, perfect. And now you're going to hit Command D to deselect. And now you're going to go, see, and now you clicked a little too much and then you colorized everything. So you can hit Command Z to undo anytime you do something like that. So now you know how to make a selection and how to fill it in with color. But you need to make sure that you go back to layer 0 and you click with your magic wand tool or whatever selection tool you use. And you need to have layer 0 selected while you use the selection tool. And then you need to go to layer 1 to do your coloring. And luckily I've locked it so you don't accidentally make the mistake of coloring inside your layer 0. But you need to go back to layer 0. You're on layer 1, so you need to click on layer 0. Now go to your magic wand tool. And the shortcut key for the magic wand tool is W if you want to save some time. And now you can click on another shape. And if you want to select multiple shapes at the same time, you can hold down the Shift button while selecting multiple shapes. And that way, multiple things get added to your selection. See how that works? So if you want to make multiple things green, you can just do just like that. And you accidentally clicked on the line there. So you'll hit Command D to undo. You can also hit Command Z as well. And now you're going to click on that again. And you have to make sure that you're clicking in the space and not the line. So if you accidentally click on the line, you have to hit Command Z or Command D. Z as in zebra, D as in deselect. And then you have to make sure that you go to layer 1. You have to go to layer 1, and then you have to fill it in. Make sense? And a shortcut key, if you don't want to keep on having to go into the layer panel to switch your layers, is Alt or Option. Hold down the Alt or Option button, and then click the bracket keys, either the left or the right bracket, which are located next to the letter P on your keyboard. Alrighty, so it seems like you got it. You now know how to make selections. You know how to fill in those selections with color. Is there anything else that you need help with? Anything else? And feel free to turn off your mic if you have a long question, or just type in the chat, whichever works for you. Okay, no questions? Cool. Well, I will then switch over to helping, who else?
Carly.
Oh yeah, what's your question?
My question was not with week 1 assessment, it was actually with the week 2.
Okay, well I haven't gotten to that yet, so.
Okay. I got a little confused, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. Anyone else needed help with their week 1 assessment? I could have sworn there were 2 people who said they needed help.
Yes, it was me, Carly.
Oh, it was? And do you need help with the week 1 assessment or no?
I actually did it. I messed up on the between 1 and 2. I'm sorry. It was just week 2 I needed help with.
Oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go over week 2 in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else need any assistance with anything related to week 1 before we move on? Marlena, did you need assistance?
I was having problem with the lynda.com.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember that. Let's do that together. So what I'd like you to do is click share screen right in the middle of your screen, and I'll walk you through how to get to the Lynda.
Okay, I'm working on my laptop and watching you on the tablet.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you can't, okay. Well, I will walk you through then. So a good way to kind of avoid any lynda.com difficulties that come up is to first go to the IU graphic arts community and click on that.
Why don't I'm gonna go and do it on the tablet, and then I can later on figure it out on the laptop. So you needed me to share screen,
okay,
right?
Yeah, if you can share your screen, that would be awesome.
Where do I do that at?
So if you click on Zoom, you should be able to see the share screen button right in the center of your screen.
I'm not seeing.
Okay, what do you see on your screen right now?
I see the class.
Oh, are you in the actual Canvas classroom?
Well, yeah, I'm in the classroom, but I'm also on the Zoom meeting.
Okay, now if you could click on the Zoom meeting so that the whole window comes up, and you should see now, does it say Carly Heath's personal meeting room?
Yeah, what?
And then if you
yes, it does. It does.
Okay. And then if you look down, does it say share screen?
Oh, they're right in front of me. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay. Desktop, select desktop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. And now you'll go into the Canvas classroom, which is probably on Safari or whatever your browser is. Good. Now click on the little, the dashboard, which is on the left. On the left, right there. Click. And now let's scroll down. Wait for it to load. to the IU graphic arts community and click on that.
Oh, wrong one.
Okay, it seems that you're in the Man 105 class. And now scroll down. And click on lynda.com portal instructions. And now scroll down. And then click Lynda, click on the click here button. Let's do that. And now scroll down to the lynda.com student access portal. Very good. And then click load lynda.com in a new window. Perfect. Okay, now you'll go and on your tab, you'll go to your first tab, which is on your most left-hand side, up at the top of your browser. So since we opened up, yeah, we're gonna click on that. And now we'll go back to the classroom. So you'll click on the dashboard. See, now we're logged into Lynda. So you'll be able to now, now that you're logged in, you'll be able to access the class videos. So just, yeah, click on the dashboard. And then click on DES104. And then you're gonna scroll down to where it says readings and video. And then you can go to the week 2 media. And okay, that's the Adobe stuff. We want to go to the Lynda video. So now you're gonna click on the, there we go. Yeah, click on the lynda.com student access portal. Okay, scroll down, and now you're gonna click on the week 2 playlist.
I was trying to rewatch week 1 last night, and I couldn't get in.
Cool, this should work now. Yep, and then hit play.
So go and open through Canvas before you try to open in the classroom?
Well, that is just if for whatever reason it's not recognizing or you're having difficulties. That's just kind of like a foolproof plan. Usually you should be able to access it directly from that link. But I don't know what maybe happened with your cookies on your browser or something where it didn't recognize you. But it now seems to be working. That's a good way to troubleshoot that issue. But I would say lynda.com videos are great.
Or we can select it from the list.
But definitely the most important videos are these.
The advantage of having the content-aware technology built in, which compares nearby image content and tries to maintain details such as that.
Okay. All right.
Anything else I can help you with?
Not at the time. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, so the lynda.com is great, and that's a great place to go for, you know, more in-depth learning about the tools that we're using. But I would say if you're pressed for time and you don't have time to watch all those videos, the most important video you need to watch is this weekly class session, because this class session is where I'm going to take you step by step through how to do each of the assignments that are due this week. And those go over the tools great, and they're a great thing to learn, and everything that's in the Lynda videos are things that you're going to need to know for your career. But for just getting through the week, getting an A in the class, which is your goal, you definitely want to watch these class sessions and take notes. Actually physically have a piece of paper next to you while you are watching this class session with a pencil or a pen, and physically write down what I do. Because periodically I will tell you shortcut keys, and I'll tell you, step 1, click here, step 2, click here, just like I did as I was helping that student at the beginning of class with the week 1 assessment. And if you're just sitting back and watching that without taking notes, there is no way that you are going to be able to remember all the steps in order to do the assignment. So write down notes. The next important thing is to back up your native file format. Last week, you turned in a JPEG, and for all of your class assignments, you're going to be turning in JPEGs. But you are going to be saving your work also as a .psd file. That is a .photoshop document file. And that Photoshop document file is where all your layers are, where all your settings are, where all of your adjustment layers are. And if you want to ever edit your project, you need to have that Photoshop document, and that is what you're going to open up in Photoshop. And the reason that you need to back up your native files is because your laptop computer, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. At some point in your career, it will stop working. And this is just something that happens with technology. Printers jam and laptops crash. And desktop computers also crash, meaning sometime you'll go to turn on your laptop and it just won't turn on. So all of your important files and documents and all of your schoolwork that you have been, spending months and months working on, if you don't have that stuff backed up somewhere outside of your laptop, it's gone forever. And this is especially dire because you're going to be taking a capstone class at the end of your schooling where you're going to put together a portfolio of all of your assignments. And if you don't have your assignments because your laptop crashed, you are out of luck. And you risk failing that class, you risk being unable to graduate, and you risk, having however much money you spend going to school here, which is really expensive. I believe, over $40,000. Then you'll have to start paying back those student loans without getting a job, because it is impossible to get a job if you don't have a good portfolio. So what can you do to back up your work? Have an external USB hard drive and copy, don't just move, copy all of your files onto that external hard drive. so that you have your files on your laptop and you have your files on your external hard drive. Also, copy and upload your files to a cloud drive, such as Google Drive or the cloud or Dropbox, where they're going to be safe and secure on the internet. So if your laptop crashes, you can access your files on your external hard drive. If your external hard drive crashes, you can access your files on the cloud. So we are going to talk about retouching, and a good strategy for retouching is, of course, like I talked about in week 1, make all of your changes on separate layers. That way, if your editor comes to you or your art director comes to you and says, you know what, I would like this to be different than how you currently have it, you will be able to easily make that change. But if you have put all of your changes on the background layer or only a few layers, and someone asks you to change something, you'll have to start your whole project all over again, which is no good. As you're retouching, periodically turn your eyeball icon next to each layer on and off so you can see the before and you can see the after. And you want to ask yourself, does my after look better than my before? Because if my before looks better and my after looks blotchy and blurry and unrealistic, then that lets you know that you need to redo your retouching. Also, show it to a friend or a family member and ask them, compare my before and after. Does my after look better than my before? Okay, let's jump into doing these. And so Misty is asking, will the portfolio include class assignments before design classes? No, your portfolio is only going to have design work because you're going to be applying, I'm guessing, for design jobs. If you plan on applying for, I don't know if you've taken history or English or something, but if you're applying for a job teaching history or English, maybe they might want maybe they might want your history and English homework, but usually they're going to want your photos. So you're going to be applying for photography jobs. They're going to want your photos and your photo retouching. They're not going to care about what you did in your English class. Alrighty. So retouching. Here we are in our classroom. Let's go over here. And the first step, of course, is to download your photos. And you are given 4 images to choose from, but you only have to retouch 2 images, okay? So to download these, you just click on them, and they instantly go to your downloads folder. And they're probably going to open up in preview, but just close that because you're not going to be using preview for your class assignment. And then I also want you guys to please do pay attention to the rubrics and also the benchmarks. So if you scroll down here, you will see that submitting your file as a JPEG, please pay attention. Submitting your file as a JPEG is worth 5 points. If you submit as a Photoshop document or a PSD, you're going to lose those 5 points. So craftsmanship, so you want to use the appropriate adjustment layers to adjust your color of your photo. Craftsmanship, you also want to use spot healing and clone stamping to remove the blemishes. And you also want to use at least one other tool in your photos. So some other tools that I'm gonna be showing you include using the paintbrush tool to use Spotlight. I'll show you how to use the Liquify tool. So you are welcome to use those other tools to earn an additional 30 points on your project. And you'll get 25 points for including 2 images. No need to do 3 because it's not going to do you any good. If you only do 1 image, you're going to lose out on 10 points. So you have to do 2 images to earn full credit. And also pay attention to these benchmarks. These benchmarks show you examples of what the images, that is actually benchmark 3 for week 3. Oh no, they have the wrong benchmarks in here. That's too bad. I will show you the benchmarks for the week 2 assignment. That is incorrect. Note to self, fix those benchmarks. So to bring in your photos that you have downloaded into Photoshop, you'll go to the Finder window, and you're going to go to Downloads, and then you're going to find the photo that you want to open up in Photoshop. You're going to hold down the Control button if you're on a Mac, or you'll right-click if you're on a PC, and then click Open with Photoshop. Another way to open up these photos into Photoshop is by going to File, Open, not File Place, not File New, File Open, and then go to your Downloads folder and open that picture. This is a really, really strongly worded warning here. Do not go File, New, and make a new document, and then go File, Place, and then place an image in there. Because by doing this, you have now shrunk the photo to fit whatever size document you made. And that's no good. That's going to end up with a low resolution, not correct. Don't do that. Okay. To open up your photos, you go to File, Open. Okay, I'm going to start with the easy one first. This guy. First, let's look at the colors on him. And there is one color in this picture that is very, very prominent that we need to get rid of. What color do you think seems to be the most prominent in this picture? Seems very yellow, doesn't it? And you know, some people have trouble telling when there is too much of one color in a photo. And so here's a little tip to identify whether you have too much of one color in a photo. Look at something in the photo that should be white. In this case, he's got this little white tag here. And instead of that little tag being pure white, it's actually yellow. And maybe you can't tell. So do this. You hit your eyedropper tool, I for eyedropper, click on that object, and you see instead of that tag being white, it's actually this very dark yellow. So we are going to be retouching this until it gets to be white, and then we are going to do some retouching. So I'm going to Command -sign to zoom out and Command +sign to zoom in. Has everyone got that written down? The shortcut key to zoom into something is Command +sign. And the shortcut key to zoom out of something is Command -sign. Now to navigate around a picture while you're retouching it, you can either place 2 fingers on your trackpad and go around like this. Or if you have a mouse, you can hold down your space bar and then click on your mouse and click and drag like this. So I'm holding down my space bar and clicking and dragging. make sure you have that written down. Command minus sign to zoom out. Now, I'm going to use an adjustment layer to get rid of the excess yellow in the picture. So I'm going to go to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. And I'm going to go to color balance. Now watch this. So we want to get rid of the excess yellow. I'm going to drag my yellow-blue slider all the way into blue as far as it will go. Now what has happened? In addition to the background still being yellow, his face is now very, very red. So we want to get rid of the red in his face as well. So we're going to go to the red cyan slider, and we're going to drag our slider into cyan. Write this down. So step 1, go down to the adjustment layers, which is the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other at the bottom of the layers panel. Then you're going to bring up color balance. You're going to drag the yellow-blue slider all the way into blue. And you're going to drag the red cyan slider a little bit into cyan. But, like I said, the background is still yellow. So what are we going to do next? We're going to adjust the highlights. So write this down. Go to the tone drop-down menu, or you can just draw a picture of it. Tone, draw a little box, midtones. And you're going to click on where it says midtones. Again, write this down, and you're going to click on highlights. So then I would probably draw a little arrow in my notes and circle the word highlights. Now I'm going to drag the highlight slider away from yellow into blue until it starts to, it's still that yellow starts to go away, but I'm noticing now there's a lot of pink back there, isn't there? And if we look at, the white of my eyedropper, it looks really, really white next to this pink that's in that background. So I'm going to drag my slider again away from red and into cyan until we get a nice white. Now I'll just click on the X on this Properties tab to make it go away. And let's see the before and after. So eyeball before, see how yellow and flat everything looked. And now after, see how the whole picture looks much more three-dimensional? That's what getting rid of that excess yellow, whether it's whatever color there's too much of. Maybe it might be excess magenta, maybe it might be excess blue or yellow. Getting rid of that and making the color more natural ends up making the picture look so much stronger. Now we have some blemish removal to get rid of. And I am going to make a new layer to start getting rid of blemishes. Because if I start retouching now, I'm going to be retouching on my color balance layer, and you're going to see discoloration. Things will start to look strange. We need to make a new layer. So write this down, Shift Command N, letter N, to make a new layer, or click on the new layer icon, which is at the bottom of the layers panel. Next, we're going to go over here to the little paint. It looks like a little Band-Aid with a dotted line next to it. That's the spot healing tool. Don't get confused between the spot healing brush tool and the healing brush. We're using the spot healing brush tool. The healing brush, the patch tool, the content aware move tool, these are all roommates on the same button. Just like the paint bucket tool and the gradient tool are roommates together. The spot healing brush and the healing brush are roommates. So if you see the healing brush, you know you can just click on it, and then the spot healing brush will show up. Now, a frequently asked question I get from students is they'll say, my spot healing is not working. Or they'll say, my clone stamp is not working. And I say, okay, go up to the top of your screen and make sure the button that says Sample All Layers is checked, okay? Make sure the button that says Sample All Layers is checked. Now, I'm not saying you have to get rid of his freckles or anything like that. I just want to show you how you can use the spot healing tool to remove these things. So I'll remove his mole because that's a little bit distracting. What you're going to do is you're going to make your brush the same size as the thing that you want to get rid of. And the way that you can increase and decrease the size of your brush is by hitting the brackets, which are located next to the letter P on your keyboard. Write this down. Increase, decrease brush size is, and you can just on your notes draw a little picture of that square bracket that is located next to the letter P. So the right bracket makes my brush bigger, and the left bracket makes your brush smaller. Okay, let's go over to Marlena and see now I've gotten rid of his little blemish. And let's find your spot healing brush tool. So Marlena, go ahead and can you share your screen? Marlena, is there any chance you could share your screen and show me your workspace so I can kind of point out where your spot healing brush tool is? I can also walk you through a troubleshooting thing if you want. Okay, so some reasons why a student might not be able to find the right tool on their Photoshop is that they maybe have accidentally reset their workspace to a different setup. So I would recommend that if you're having trouble finding a specific tool that I'm using, go up to, in your Photoshop, go up to Window up at the top of the screen. Go up to Window at the top of the screen, and then go to Workspace, and then click on Reset Essentials. Reset Essentials. And that way, if you're accidentally, say you're accidentally on the painting essentials, or I don't know, 3D workspace, you'll be able to go back to Window, Workspace, and then you'll click Reset Essentials. So click on Essentials first, and then click on Reset Essentials, and you'll go back to the way it should look. Okay, so now with my spot healing tool, I can go around, and if he's got weird moles, I mean, some moles are fine. I'm just showing you that you can actually use the spot healing tool to get rid of these things. But sometimes, you know, you might be going along, you might be like, oh, he's got some like weird hair there I want to get rid of. And everything's going good for now. Then maybe you decide to get a little bit adventurous and, you know, start trying to get rid of like these types of lines. And you end up making something look like that, like very, very weird and obvious. So how do you get rid of that weird, obvious, blurry, blotchy grossness that you just did? You can hit the letter E on your keyboard. Write this down. E equals erase.
E equals what?
E equals erase.
I think she heard me.
So you can hit the E button, and then you can start scrubbing. And E
Oh.
erase. And then I can go back to, I can hit J. J is your shortcut key for your spot healing tool. And then you can scrub over the thing that you want to get rid of, and ta-da, it is gone. So spot healing tool is J. And next, what we're going to do is, look at before and after. So I'm going to click on this little eyeball tool here. Before, after. And next, I'm going to use something called the clone stamp to get rid of this white tag here. So I'm going to make a new layer, Shift-Command-N to make a new layer. And I'm going to go over to the clone stamp tool. And this is another frequently asked question I get from students, is they'll say, my clone stamp tool isn't working. And so I will say, go up to the top of your screen, make sure the checkbox is checked that says aligned sample, and make sure all layers is checked. All layers is checked. So aligned sample, all layers. Write that down, guys. Aligned sample, all layers. Now, right now, you can't see my spot healing brush because it's 1,000 pixels. If you look up at the top left hand of my screen, is huge. So I need to shrink, not my spot healing, my clone stamp. I need to shrink my clone stamp down by hitting the bracket located next to the letter P on my keyboard. I need to shrink my brush size down. There we go. And now my spot healing brush, or my clone stamp, keep on getting them mixed up, my clone stamp is the right size. Okay, so if you haven't written down brackets equal increasing and decreasing brush size, write that down, brackets. Okay, next, we're gonna use the clone stamp. And what I'm gonna do, just to show you how the clone stamp works, is I am gonna take a copy of his eye and I'm gonna put his eye in the center of his forehead. Let's do it. So to take make a copy of his eye, I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option button on my keyboard. Alt if you're on a PC, Option if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to click on his eyeball with my trackpad or my mouse. So I'm holding down the Alt or Option button. And I'm pressing my finger to my trackpad. And I'm pressing down hard to click. And I'm letting go. And now I'm also letting go of my Alt or Option key. Okay, so you're going to hold down the Alt or Option button. You are going to click on your trackpad or your mouse, let go of your trackpad or your mouse, and let go of your Alt or Option key. Now you're going to move your cursor without pressing down, just lightly moving your cursor. And now you press and scrub, 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 and see now I have put his eyeball in the middle of his forehead. I can also, if I wanted to, go back here, Alt or Option click, and I can put his eyeball in his mouth too, which looks very funny. Now, obviously, you don't want to do something like this for your assignment this week. We are just doing this because I'm showing you how to use the clone stamp tool. I'm going to hit the delete button on my keyboard to delete that layer I made. And I'm going to hit Shift-Command-N, write this down, Shift-Command-N to make a new layer. And what I'm going to do instead of making extra eyeballs and putting them where they shouldn't be, I am going to make a copy of the black of his shirt, and I'm going to paint it over this tag here. So I'm going to go to my clone stamp tool. I'm going to move my cursor over this blank black area of his shirt. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key on my keyboard, and I'm going to click on my trackpad, and now I'm going to paint, 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 paint. Ta-da! And I've gotten rid of that tag. Alrighty, now we're ready to save it. So, of course, we're always going to want to save our native file format by going to File, Save As. We're going to browse to that folder that we made on our desktop called DES104 Schoolwork. We're going to name it DES104 _ week 2 _ your name. And then we're going to hit save. And now I am going to save the JPEG. So to save the JPEG, which is the file type that we're going to be turning in, I'm going to go to File, Export, Save for Web, File, Export, Save for Web. JPEG medium is fine, and I'm going to hit Save. And now I'm going to go to my DES104 February schoolwork folder, and then I'm going to hit Save. And now I have saved this as a JPEG. Pretty cool, right? How are you guys feeling? I'm gonna now go over and do retouching on this photo. And then what I'll do is I'll jump ahead to the assessment. And then I'll go back and I'll do the other 2 photos that are due for this assignment. Any questions so far on anything that I've gone over? And have you guys been writing down notes? That's really important so that then you can refer to your notes later. Good point, Anthony. I am going to demonstrate how to use the clone stamp tool and flip it for the cat, because if you may have seen on the cat picture, the cat is missing an eye. And so we are going to copy its already there eye and then paste it on the other side of his head, and we're going to flip it using Edit Transform. Okay, so first step with this picture, it's Command + and zoom in, is we're going to use Spot Healing tool. So I'm going to hit Shift Command N to make a new layer. Go to my Spot Healing tool, make my brush about the same size as the pimples that we're going to get rid of by using the bracket keys. And I'm just going to scrub, scrub, scrub over her pimples, okay? Now with this photo, there's no real adjustment layers that need to be used because the photo is correct exposure and the photo is correct coloring. So nothing needed there, but we are going to do a lot of retouching where we get rid of these stray hairs. We're going to add some makeup. I'm going to show you how to use adjustment layers to add things like lipstick. And we're going to make this photo very glamorous. I probably should have put lipstick on the man. I apologize for conforming to gender stereotypes. I really shouldn't have, you know, I shouldn't put lipstick on her and not the guy. But, you know, that was just, this guy's at practice and she's going to be like the more refined one. But next one, future classes, maybe I'll put lipstick on him. Okay, so we are gonna do, so I'm going around, and keep in mind, I'm doing this relatively quickly. One, because I've just done this so many times, and I can. And 2, you guys don't wanna see me spend an hour getting rid of all of her pimples. So just know that even though I'm working relatively quickly here, you guys might wanna spend a good 20 minutes or so just getting rid of all of the pimples using Clone Stamp. She also has, not Clone Stamp, Spot Healing. Oh my goodness, it's late. She also has a little makeup smudge right here. So I'm just gonna use the Spot Healing to get rid of that. And sometimes it's really disappointing as it keeps on copying pimples. So that's why it's a good idea to just go over it over and over and over again. There we go. And so I'm just, yeah, this is the Spot Healing tool. These little hairs on her shoulder, yes, you can get rid of them, but I would recommend not getting rid of them because these are natural. You know, it's not like a pimple. It's just kind of like, you know, the natural texture of her skin. So, you know, like, you know, it's nice to leave like a little mole there, like these little moles and stuff. It's just nice to keep it natural. If you try and make everything smooth and polished, then it kind of looks fake. I mean, if you wanted to get rid of them, you can just go in with your spot healing tool, and you have to zoom in really, really close and just do a little bit at a time. Make your brush size the same size as the hairs that you want to get rid of, and you know, work that way. Another thing that you can do is use the patch tool or the clone stamp. And I demonstrate the patch tool in my week 2 pre-recording, so you can definitely check that out. Okay, so she's got a little bit of crease there, and a little bit of a little line there. There we go. See, looking pretty good, right? Before and after. There is a little makeup smudge right here. There we go, that we're gonna get rid of. Now next, she has this little jaunt upward with her eyebrow that is slightly annoying. So what I'm gonna do is make a new layer, Shift Command N, and I'm gonna use the clone stamp tool. Okay, Marlena, the reason that it's not applying is that you need to select the spot healing brush tool, and it looks like a band-aid with like a dotted line next to it. And it might be on the same button as the healing brush, which is just a band-aid by itself. And it might be on the same brush button as the patch tool. But the spot healing tool is the band-aid with the little dotted line around it. And now you go up to the top of the screen and make sure Sample All Layers is checked. Okay, make sure Sample All Layers is checked. And then that way you should just be able to scrub around your picture and get rid of the unsightly things that you don't like. Well, is it all working for you? Good. Okay, so what we're gonna do is use the clone stamp tool, which is located underneath the paintbrush tool. And there it is. It looks like a little stamp. The shortcut key to use the clone stamp tool is the letter S. And what I'm going to do is use my bracket key, which is located next to the letter P on my keyboard, the bracket key, write that down. And I'm left bracket, left bracket, left bracket, and that shrinks down the size of my brush. And what I'm going to do is take a sample of the skin up here. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option button. Alt or Option button, and I'm going to click on my trackpad. I'm going to let go of my trackpad. I'm going to let go of my Alt or Option button. And I've now taken a sample of this skin up here, and I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to use it to paint over that weird little jaunt in her eyebrow. So now she has a nice smooth eyebrow, just a slight fix that looks much better now. Now we're ready for a few fun things. I'm going to use something called soft light with a paintbrush to soften the shadows that are on her face and to make her skin have that slight kind of glowing feeling to it. So I'm going to hit Shift Command N to make a new layer. I'm going to get my brush tool out, just my regular paintbrush. And I'm going to make my paintbrush about the same size as her forehead by going to the letter P on my keyboard and clicking the right bracket to make my brush bigger. Now the problem here is my brush is right now a hard edge brush, meaning if I paint with it, it's going to have a hard edge to it, which is not what I want. I want something that mimics light, that is soft and diffused. So I'm going to go up to the top of my screen and click on the brush menu. And I'm going to reduce the hardness all the way down to 0%. Now you can see I have a soft edge brush, but this is the wrong color. I don't want the light hitting her to be this gross yellow color. So I'm going to hit Command Z to undo. Command Z is always the shortcut key that you use to undo something. I'm going to hit the letter X. Actually, first the letter D. D resets my foreground and background colors to pure black and pure white. Write this down. D, all by itself, not Command D, not Alt D. It's the letter D by itself resets your foreground and background colors. Right now, my foreground color is black, so I want to switch it to white, and I do that by hitting X on my keyboard. So D resets your foreground and background colors, and X flips them. So now, with my white paintbrush, I'm going to paint on her forehead. And I'm avoiding her eyes. I'm painting where I want the light to hit and soften. So I'm kind of making like this mask over her. This does not look realistic at all. And do not leave it like this. If you turn something in looking like this, you will not get a good grade. So what we need to do now is change the blending mode so that it mimics, this white that we painted mimics light. So write this down, guys. You're gonna go down to the bottom of the layers panel, or not the bottom, the middle, and make sure that layer 3, which is your layer that has this white on it, is selected. And then you're gonna go up to where it says normal, the same place where you change the blending mode for the week 1 assignment. We're gonna change it now from normal to soft light, from normal to soft light. And it's good, it's just a little bit too bright. It successfully softened the shadows on her face, but it's just too white. It looks vampire-y. So what I'm gonna do is go to this setting here that says opacity. See right here where it says opacity? And I'm going to lower the opacity to about 40%. And now we can see the before and after. Before and after. So see how we've given her face just this a little bit more glow. And it's also softened the shadows on her face. That's soft light. And I'm going to make a new layer. And what we're going to do now is put lipstick on her. So I'm going to go to my lasso tool. And right now I have my polygon lasso tool selected, which is, remember, that hard edge lasso tool. We want to use the regular lasso tool. And this is where, you probably want to practice a few times, because I'm just using my trackpad on my keyboard. I don't have a touch screen. I don't have a Wacom tablet right now. I'm just using my laptop that you guys have. And I'm going to outline her lips. So step 1, once you selected the lasso tool, you go up to the top of the screen and you see you have the new selection option, and you have the add to selection option and the subtract from selection option. So we're going to select the new selection option. And what we're going to do is outline her lips, and we're going to stay inside the lip line. Don't go outside the lip line, or she will start to look like a clown. And my finger's a little bit unsteady because I'm using my trackpad. But I'm doing the best I can, and I'll fix it later. So there we go. I have outlined her lips. And now what I need to do is fix that little part that I missed there. And I'll do that by going to the Add to Selection option. Now I'll add back this little part that I missed. I'll also add back this little part here. And, you know, maybe just a little bit here. Next, I want to subtract her lip ring. So I'm going to go up to the subtract from selection option up at the top of the screen. And I'm going to outline her lip ring. Ta-da! So now we have completely enclosed her lips in a selection. And I'm going to go down to the bottom of the layer panel and look for that circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. And I'm going to click on the adjustment layer for curves. I'm going to click on the curves adjustment layer. Now watch this. If I want to darken her lips, I just click on this curve and I drag it down. See how her lips are dark? And if I want to make her lips look more magenta, I can go to the green channel and I can reduce the amount of green, and now they're looking a little bit more magenta. But right now, the edge I put on them is really hard and it looks really unnatural. It looks really drawn on, right? It doesn't look good. So we want to soften that edge so that it looks more natural. So to do that, we go over here to our layer panel, and there is that black and white shape next to the curves adjustment layer. That's called a layer mask. What we're going to do is we're going to click on it, double click, 1, 2. And now we have this option for feathering. So we're going to increase the feathering. See how those lips now look a lot more natural? And now I'll hit X when I'm done. Now if I want to go back and continue to change the color of the lips, I can click on the circle that's, again, light on one side, dark on the other. That's actually on the layer panel now, because that is my actual layer for curves. I'm going to click on it, double click, and watch. Oh, so let's say I want to lighten the lips. I can click on this curve for RGB and see now the lips are kind of a light pinker color. If I want to make the lips more red and saturated, I can go to the red channel. I can increase the amount of red, and now they're like really vibrant red like that. If I want them more kind of, you know, have that more cyanish, grayish color, I can go like that. If I want them to look a little bit more purple, I can go to the blue channel and I can increase the amount of blue, and now they're kind of purple. I think I like the more magenta personally. There we go. Okay, so we can do a lot of fun things with this beauty retouching assignment. So if you want to, say you want to like colorize her eyes and give her blue eyes, that is something that is really easy to do. I can make a new layer, go to my brush tool, and I'm going to select for my foreground color a nice blue color. Or I can use a slightly purplish color, I think, maybe to purplish magenta to match her lips. And right now I'm going to do something really unnatural, which is paint with a paintbrush over her irises. Now, you do not want to leave something like this because it does not look good or natural at all. But after you have painted the irises the color that you want, you can go down to the layer that you painted on, which in my case is layer 5, and go to our blending mode. So right now my blending mode is on normal, and I'm going to change it to not multiply, I'm going to change it to color. And what that has done now, it's applied the different values. So, you know, it's dark magenta in the dark areas, and it's light magenta in the light areas. So it doesn't look painted over. So let's look at the difference between something that is on the normal blending mode flat, unnatural, painted looking, and then something that is on the color blending mode, which is dimensional and interesting. The problem though is no one has eyes that are this color. I mean, it looks really pretty, but it's not natural. So we're gonna go to the opacity setting here on our layer panel, and we're gonna lower the opacity. So I'm sure there's no one out there that has that magenta purple eye color, but it looks cool. So we're gonna leave it. Next, we wanna smoothen out her hair. And now here's the thing. Using the liquify tool to smoothen out the hair is an art and not, and it takes practice. And I would much rather have you turn in her picture with scraggly hair than try and fix her hair and end up making it look bad and fake, okay? So I'm showing you liquify because, you want to use another tool as part of the requirement for your retouching project. But if it looks bad, do not use it. Use something else instead. Use soft light. Use the colored eye thing. Use curves. Don't use liquify. So first step to smoothen out her hair using liquify is to merge all of our layers together. But of course, we don't want to delete our layers because that will be destructive. So I'm going to hit Shift, Command, Option E, or if you're on a PC, it's going to be Shift, Control, Alt E. Shift, Command, Option E, or Shift, Control, Alt E. And what that has done is merged all of our layers together, but it hasn't deleted them. It's made a copy of all the layers and then merged them. So now on this copied layer, I can go up to Filter, and I can click on Liquify. Command plus sign, and then I can push the hair ever so gently outward. And what I'm using is the forward warp tool. And so instead of smoothing the hair or flattening the hair, which will end up making it look really fake and unnatural, I'm pushing the hair outward. And that is then going to create the illusion that her hair is not scraggly. So pushing out the hair. Push this in. Push, push. And you don't want to accidentally warp the face. And it's okay if you leave a few things out like that because it makes it look natural. You don't want to make someone look like they're made of plastic. And now I'm going to click OK. And so let's see the before and after. Before, after. And now let's see the complete before and after. Before, after. Before, after. Ta-da! So you have two other pictures to choose from. I'll go over those after I go over the assessment because I know some of you are really eager to get to the assessment. So what I'm going to do is go there. And you're going to download this image. And take a look at the samples. So you are making the whole image black and white. Then you're colorizing the headscarf a solid color. And you're putting a vignette around the whole image, and you're also putting a photo filter on the image, okay? So we're gonna do multiple things to the picture, and we are going to, you know, follow each of the steps here. So this is definitely a really, really important case where you want to write down these steps, okay? And so really, really important, you do not want to, do not place your picture into a new document. The way that you're going to open up your picture so that it's full resolution in Photoshop is by going to File, Open, File, Open. We're going to go to our Downloads folder. And step one, we are going to make this image black and white. And to do that, we're going to go to the black and white adjustment layer, which is found at the bottom of the layers panel. There is a circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. You're going to click on that. And you're going to click on black and white. Now, you have these sliders in here that can control how your black and white image will look. So, for instance, if you want to make things look, you know, kind of really dark and rich, you can do something like that, which is kind of interesting. You can do something brighter like that. So you get to control what your black and white image is going to look like. Kind of go with a little bit darker like that. Next, we are going to select her headscarf and colorize it. So first step is we have to use our background layer in order to make our selection. And a selection tool that might be really good for this, you know, you've learned quite a few, but a selection tool that might be really good is our quick selection tool, which is, again, roommates with your magic wand tool. So the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool live together. And so if you see the magic wand tool, you know, use the quick selection tool. And, you know, we have these different options up at the top of the screen. You want to make the new selection option your pick. And you want to make your brush the right size. So something like that, I think might be the right size. So we're going to click. We are going to make a nice, good selection of this headscarf. And so what this quick selection tool is doing is as I'm painting, it's selecting the scarf. It's pushing out that selection. I'm going to make sure everything is selected. And now Command plus sign, and I can see the selection didn't really select down in here. So I got to fill in that part down there. And now I went a little bit too far. You can see some of the places where the selection has gone into her skin. And a little into the background there. So what I'm going to do now is click the subtract from selection option, which is available up at the top of the screen. You can see now I'm just going to push it in, and on the parts where it's like gotten into her skin, I'm going to push that in, and I push that in. Yep, missed a little spot right there. So I'm going to click the Add to Selection option. Oh, missed that little part right there. So we're going to do Add to Selection. Subtract from selection, there's just a little part right there. Beautiful. Okay, so now once you have a clean selection of her headscarf, you want to make sure that you're on top of the black and white layer, because if you add a color layer beneath the black and white layer, basically everything beneath the black and white layer is going to be black and white. So if you add a color layer underneath that, it's going to be black and white. So we want to colorize the headscarf. So we are now going to click on the black and white layer, go up, go down to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other at the bottom of the layer panel. And now we're going to click on the solid color adjustment layer. And here is where you can choose any color you want, right? So I can click red if I want, blue, orange, totally doesn't matter. But what's really helpful, how about like a pinkish magenta, is when it's solid like this, you can see just the little mistakes that you made, right? So I missed that little part there, and I missed a little part up here. So to fix those little parts that I missed, I'm gonna go to the black and white shape that is next to color fill. And I'm gonna click on that little black and white shape there. That's called a layer mask. And it's basically a stencil. And everything that is white is showing up, and everything that is black is erased. So I want to paint with white to get rid of that white, if that makes sense, because I want to fill in that color. So watch this. I'm gonna hit B for brush. I'm going to hit X so that white is my foreground color. And now watch, as I paint with white, that spot goes away because I'm filling in this color. Let's actually see what this looks like inside the mask itself. I'm going to option click on the mask. So this is what the mask looks like, and I just need to paint with white to get rid of that white spot. Option click to go back inside of it. So there's another little spot up here that I missed. But right now I have a fuzzy edge brush, and I don't want to be painting a fuzzy edge brush next to a hard line there. So I'm going to change my brush setting from fuzzy to hard. And I'm painting with white to smoothen out that edge. Okay, looking good. Nice selection. But now you must be saying, but this coloring doesn't look natural at all. It looks fake. It looks like you painted it. Well, that's because we are on the normal blending mode. Oh, sure. I'll do the whole thing again, Marlena. If I change the blending mode from normal to color, ta-da, now I have colorized it pink. But the only way it works is by using the color blending mode. Okay, so for Marlena, I'm going to do that again. And then we have a few more steps after this. So to make a selection of the headscarf, you want to click on your background layer. So write that down. Have your background layer clicked. Then you're going to go to your quick selection tool. Marlena, were you able to find that, the quick selection tool? Okay, and now I'm going to paint in, and usually it's going to paint in faster because it knows that you already made that selection before. Oh, you have the scarf selected. Okay, good, perfect. Oh, I need to add to selection. Okay, Marlena, is there any chance you could share your screen, or can you not? Because I can walk you through on yours. Almost there. Well, at least I know that I have a lot of mistakes to fix on here. Okay, so now I have a really ugly selection of my scarf. And what I need to do is go up on top of the black and white layer. So I need to be above the black and white layer. I'm going to go down to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other, at the bottom of the layer panel. Do you see that? And I'm going to click on solid color. So do you see that? I'm going to click on solid color. Do you have that, Marlena? And then you can select any color that you want. And you can see now all of the pieces that I missed. So this is where we paint in the missing pieces. So what we have to do is we have to go to the black and white shape in color fill. See that? See that black and white shape? We have to click on it and we have to select it. And we know it's selected because it has these little white brackets around the edge of it. And now I'm going to go to my paintbrush tool. And I need to have pure white as my foreground color. And I paint, paint, paint. And then I went outside the line a little bit so I can hit X and I can paint to fix that. Okay, so I got to fix all my little mistakes that I made because I was really quick with my selection. And now I can throw my headscarf color into the color blending mode. X. I'm going to change the blending mode from normal to color. And now we'll begin the final steps. So what we have to do next is put a vignette on this. And a vignette is where the corners are dark and the center is light. So to do this, I'm going to go to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other, at the bottom of the layer panel. And this is really important. I need everyone to pay attention. I'm going to select gradient, not gradient map. I'm going to select gradient, not gradient map. And now what I need to select is the black and white gradient. So here, where it has, see where it has the gradient, I guess the color there? We're going to click on that. And then we're going to click on the black and white gradient. And then click OK. And now right now my style is linear. We want to use this gradient to create a vignette. So I'm going to change linear to radial. I'm going to change linear to radial. Write that down. Now remember, we want the edges to be dark and the center to be light. And right now my center is dark and my edges are light. So I'm going to click reverse. And now the rest you can adjust yourself. You can increase the scale if you want. If you want to have less darkness, you can increase the scale if you want more darkness. And then I'm going to click OK. So what did we learn from the week 1 assessment? We learned that we can make white transparent by setting the blending mode to what? So we want to make this white transparent, just like we wanted to make the page, that line art, we wanted to make that white page transparent so that we can see the color underneath. We used the multiply blending mode. So right now my blending mode is on normal. And here I'm going to change it to multiply. And so now I have this gradient, made a nice little vignette here. But we're not done. The final step is to apply a photo filter. And you can do that by going to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other at the bottom of the layer panel. And then you can go to photo filter. And you can choose any photo filter you want, any color you want. So right now the filter is on warming. You can choose sepia, which is going to make everything kind of brownish. You can increase the density if you want. This is where you get to be creative as far as what type of image you want to make. Warming filter, cooling filter, lower opacity, red, kind of like the red. And there we go. Now you're going to, of course, save the PSD for backup, but what are you going to turn in? You're going to turn in the JPEG. You are going to turn in the JPEG. So write that down and circle it. JPEG. So first we save it by going to File, Save As. We'll call this week. And we save and back up that PSD. And then we are going to save and back up the JPEG. So we have File, Export, Save for Web. Ta-da! Any questions? See, if I were you watching this right now, I would take a screenshot of my screen and I would make sure that your layers on your Photoshop look exactly like my layers. So the colors can be different. The colors, you can make the colors whatever you want. But the layers need to be in that order. Really, no questions? So the quick selection tool is underneath the lasso tool, and it's on the same button as the magic wand tool. The magic wand tool and the quick selection tool are roommates together. So if you see the magic wand tool, you can click on the magic wand tool and hold that down until the quick selection tool pops up. Do you see it? If you want, you can share your screen, and I'd love to help you through it. Okay, Nancy, you said not running through it to save time. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Allison, go ahead and share your screen. Oh yes, definitely, Nancy. There will be, you can come to my multi-session. Do you want to come to my multi-session on Wednesday or Thursday, and you can get one-on-one help from me? Oh, so Allison, go ahead and share your screen and then click on desktop. Okay, so yep, you got the quick selection tool. Now what you have to do is click on the background layer. Good. And now I would recommend zooming into the headscarf. So Command + to zoom in. And you don't have to go to your zoom tool to zoom in. You can just hit Command +. And then click on your quick selection tool. There you go. And now right now you have the add to selection selected. So go up to the top of the screen and click on new selection. Good. And now I'd make your brush a little bit bigger by using the bracket keys. So next to the letter P on your keyboard, there's a left bracket that makes your brush smaller. And then the right bracket makes your brush bigger. Right bracket, right bracket, right bracket. And start painting. And see, now it's making your selection. Think you got it? And then when if you make a mistake, you can click the add to selection or the subtract from selection option. Yes, Nancy, you're definitely welcome to come into our multi-session on Wednesday or Thursday if you need one-on-one help. And we also have help available in the Student Success Center. Oh yeah, Anthony, the whole video will be recorded and posted to YouTube. So let's now look at the other images that you are going to be retouching, or that you can choose to retouch for your project. And remember, the way that you can open up your photos into Photoshop is by browsing to them, holding down the control button or right-clicking on them, and then going open with Photoshop. Now, with this picture, Nancy, dragging your photos into Photoshop is not recommended because that's the only way that you can place your photos into an already existing document. And we talked about this at the beginning of class. You do not want to place your photos into an already existing document because that will change their size. The way that you want to bring your images into Photoshop is by going to File, Open, or Control-click, and then Open with Photoshop. So the first step on this picture is, remember we're talking about too much of one color in a picture? Well, this picture is too magenta, right? It's very pink. If you look at the white areas of the picture, instead of them being white, they're actually light pink, like the dog's fur. See the dog's fur? Instead of being white, it's kind of this pinkish color. So we're going to go to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other at the bottom of the layer panel. And we're going to click on Color Balance. And we're going to drag our slider away from magenta into green until that magenta looks very white. Now I'm going to make a new layer, of course, and we're going to use the Spot Healing tool to get rid of these spots. So we're using the brackets, which are located next to the letter P on your keyboard, to change the size of our brush so that the brush that we paint with is about the same size as the little spots that we're getting rid of. And we work carefully, and if you make a mistake and end up making something look blotchy or bad, you can hit E for erase and then scrub over it and erase it, and then try again. Command plus sign. Now this little spot here is going to be troublesome for you. So I would recommend making your brush nice and small and starting from the outside of the blemish and then working your way in. And feel free to erase and start again if it looks bad. You just got to do a little bit at a time. As are these ones by his ear, those are going to be difficult, so just work a little bit at a time. And you may want to use clone stamp if you can't fix it with the spot healing brush. Okay, next, this big spot here, we got to get rid of that. And what we got to do is use the clone stamp tool. So I'm going to make a new layer, Shift Command N. I'm going to get my clone stamp tool out. And what I'm going to do is steal other parts of the image and paste it over this white spot. So I'm going to steal some of this fence here, holding down the Alt or Option button and clicking. And I'm going to paint some of this fence right down here. I'm going to steal a little bit of this tree, Alt or Option click, and paint. Alt or Option click and paint. Alt or Option click and paint. And I can also steal some trees from over here, Alt or Option click. And we don't want those seams showing, so we want to keep on going over it until it looks nice and natural. And see how it looks a little bit repetitive there? So I'm going to kind of steal some and just mix up the repetitiveness. There we go. And then finally, the cat picture. The way we bring it in is just by control clicking on it. Open with Photoshop. So first up, we want to lighten the cat picture up a little bit. And so to do that, we are going to click on the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. And I'm going to use levels to brighten it up. Drag the slider, the gray slider that's in the center, over to the left. Not too much, but just enough to brighten up those midtones. And that is the levels adjustment layer. The levels adjustment layer. And that is found in the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. And click on the word levels. Next, we are going to get rid of the excess red, because notice as we brightened up the picture, a lot of red is showing through. So I'm going to click on color balance, again in the same circle that's light on one side, dark on the other, color balance. And I'm going to drag my slider away from red and into cyan. But I'm noticing actually a lot of the red is in the shadow areas rather than the midtones. So where it says tone here, pay attention, where it says tone, we're going to select shadows. We're going to drag our slider away from red and into cyan just a little bit. Now we want to get rid of those creases. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to click on the spot healing tool. And in many cases, the spot healing tool works for that sort of thing, but we're going to have to use a little bit of a clone stamp as well. Spot healing for these creases. And again, if you're starting to look blotchy at all, then lets you know that maybe you should use clone stamp instead. And you can also try, instead of content aware, you can try proximity match as one of your settings. So up at the top of the screen, see how it says content aware proximity match? You can try content aware. Try proximity match. See what they give you. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of these creases on this side here. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to get my clone stamp tool out. Alt Option click to make a selection, and I'm going to paint the wood. Alt Option click, paint the wood. There we go. And you can see before and after and before and after. Now we need to get rid of, or we need to give the cat an eye, because the cat is missing an eye. So Misty has a quick question about the assessment. Trying to do the gradient fill, but the color. Yeah, Misty, you are using the gradient map. So let's do this. Go ahead and share your screen. And go down to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. And see gradient, it's the second one there. Perfect. And what you're going to do is click on that gradient, see the color, and you're going to select the black and white one. Good, perfect. And then see where it says linear. And you're going to click on that and you're going to select radial. Perfect, and you're going to click reverse. Perfect, and then you're going to click OK. And now you're going to go, see where it says normal? You're going to change the blending mode to multiply. Ta-da, very good. Got it. Does that help you? Cool. So we are going to give the cat a new eye. I'm going to hit Shift Command N to make a new layer. And I'm going to use my clone stamp tool again. I'm going to make my brush ever so slightly larger than the eye. I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option button and click on the eye to make a selection of it. And I'm going to bring my brush over to the opposite side of the picture and click with my trackpad. Now the problem is the cat's eye is facing the wrong direction. So we need to flip it. And so to flip it, I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. But we have another problem. The cat looks cross-eyed. So I'm going to make a new layer, Shift Command N, and I'm going to get my brush tool out. And see how if I just paint black with a hard edge brush, it looks really fake. So I'm going to soften the edge of my brush, and I'm just going to paint, and I'm going to make his pupils a little bit bigger. And probably I shouldn't use pure black. I should probably use kind of a slightly reddish black. It's actually not that bad. And by making the pupils bigger, now the cat doesn't look cross-eyed anymore. And so Option click before, Option click after. Any questions? Alrighty, so retouching, this is a great way that you guys can make some money while in school at the same time, because it doesn't take very much time. Everyone likes stuff retouched for them. So if you guys want to get on Fiverr and start start doing some retouching stuff for business, that would be a really great thing to do. I thought I'd show you guys some professional retouching things and some professional things that you can do with Photoshop. Oh, Marlena, you're lost. Go ahead and share your screen. Oh, you can't because you're on your laptop. Well, Marlena, what step are you lost on? Are you lost on the headscarf still? Because I can go and I can do that again. So I don't want you to be lost. This should be fun for you. Oh, Fiverr. So Matthew, it's FIVERR.com. Marlena, do you want to log on to your laptop and then join the Zoom session from your laptop so I can give you some one-on-one help tonight? Because this should be fun, you guys. You shouldn't be like worried or lost or anything like this. You should be. Okay, so Marlene, if you don't, okay, you don't know what to do. Now, is it with the assessment that you don't know what to do, or with the assignment? Okay, the assignment. So let's do this, Marlena. Let's pick the 2 easiest photos to do, which are this guy and the Harley picture, because the Harley picture is fun. Don't do the cat. Yeah, Marlena, let's not have you do the cat. because it's going to be hard for you. So let's do the yellow guy, okay? So if you could bring up the yellow guy on your laptop. Okay, I was going to show you guys some professional Photoshop retouching, but I will really want to help Marlena too. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to stick around. It's okay. I can show some professional retouching stuff next class. I want to make sure that I get you so that you at least have one project off to a good start, so that you can get into the week and get your assignments done early. So Marlena, this is what I want you to do. I want you to open the yellow guy in Photoshop. Do you know how to open him? Let's do it together. Let's open up a picture together. Okay, cool. So I just want to get Marlena to confirm that she can open up a photo in Photoshop. And then Misty, I'll help you in just a second. So what you're going to do is after you download it, Marlena, you're going to go to File, Open. And then you're going to browse to that picture and you're going to open him. Okay, so now while Marlena's downloading, Misty, how about this? Go ahead and share your screen, and I'd love to help you with what you're having trouble with. Perfect. Looks great.
Seems too dark to me.
Okay, if you want to lighten it, click on the gradient fill layer. Just click on it. And see where it says opacity?
Mm-hmm.
Lower the opacity. So right now it's at 100, lower it down to like 40%. Cool.
Oh, okay.
And then did
Sorry,
you?
my 5-year-old come running in and I missed that part.
Yeah, no problem. And did you, and you got the photo filter working for you?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure, honestly.
Okay, yep, there it is. Now, if you want to make it more orange, you can click on, see where it says density up there? In the properties right there? See where it says density right below it? You can increase the density and you can make it more orange.
I think that looks good.
Yeah, definitely. And then just make sure to save it as a JPEG and turn it in.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Time to go to work with the rest of them now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, anyone else need help with anything? And Marlena, let me know when you are ready. And if no one else need, okay. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and share your screen. Perfect. And let's open up the yellow guy because that'll be the easiest. I think it's image 2. Yep, perfect. And then go to your Photoshop. Perfect. So step one, go to the little circle that's light on one side, dark on the other at the bottom of your layer panel, and click on color balance. And then you're going to drag your slider away from yellow and into blue all the way as far as it'll go. Good. And then you're going to go up to where it says tone, midtones. And you're going to select highlights. And you're going to drag your slider part way into blue. No. Right there. It's right there. See where it says yellow, blue? You're going to drag the slider.
I was unmuting.
Oh, okay. No problem. Slider part way into blue. Okay, good. Not too far. Just, no, that's not yellow, blue. So a little bit more, a little bit more, a little more. Wait till that yellow goes away, and good. Let go. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, more. Just want to get rid of the yellow. So, you know, it's still a little bit of yellow there. Good. Okay, let go. And now you're going to drag your slider away from red and into cyan. Good. Too far, a little bit green. Yeah, right there. Good. Okay, perfect. Now you're going to make that properties go away by just double-clicking on the word properties. Oh, but your layers went away when you did that. So now you're going to go up to the top of the screen. Yeah, there you go. And now you're going to hit Shift-Command-N to make a new layer. And now you're going to go to your spot healing tool.
That's why I couldn't find it earlier, because it was under 3 dots instead of the
Okay.
we were showing.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, I think what happened is you are on a different setting than everyone else. So what you want to do is go up to Window up at the top of the screen and click Reset Essentials. But we can do that later if you want. At least you found it. So.
Get this out of the way. There we go. Get down there. What am I doing?
Click on Workspace, and then you're in Painting right now, so click on Essentials.
Okay.
There it is. Now what you're going to do is shrink, hit Command + sign to zoom in, and let's just get rid of a few of his moles. And you'll shrink your brush down to, remember, Command + sign, good. And you'll shrink your brush down to about the size of one of his moles by hitting the bracket that's next to the letter P on your keyboard. So see the left bracket next to your P? Yep, we want to make your brush just ever so slightly larger than the pimple that you want to get rid of. Oh, and bring up your layers. Let's find out why it's not showing. Okay, we're on normal, good. And now, no, you gotta, no.
I gotta select, right?
Nope. Click on layer 1. Never, ever color on your background layer. Always be on layer.
I wasn't going to. I was going to go to the background and select the whole picture.
Nope, you don't want to do that. Don't do that. Okay, now what you're going to do is paint over his mole there. Why isn't it? Is that black? What is going on there? Oh, you know what I think happened? You accidentally painted on the color balance. Now you got rid of all your layers. Hit. Okay, so you accidentally, don't do anything more. Stop. Because you accidentally, before you painted on the color balance layer, that's why you made that big black spot. So what you're gonna do is make a new layer from here. So hit Shift-Command-N. Good. And now you are going to paint over his spot. What is going on? You are on the multiply blending mode. So go up to the top of the screen. See where it says multiply? Change the blending mode from multiply to normal. Good. And now paint. Good. You don't want to do quite that sort of thing. You want to do little tiny bits at a time, or else you're going to end up making things look distorted and weird. Okay, so then the next thing is you will make a new layer by hitting Shift Command N. And then you're going to go to your clone stamp tool, which is underneath your spot healing tool on your tool panel. It looks like a little spot, a stamp. Yeah, click on that. And now you're going to scroll down to his little white tag on his collar. And you're going to hover your cursor above the collar in that black area, but you're not on the collar, above it. Good. And then you're going to hold down the Alt or Option key. Hold down the Alt or Option key on your keyboard. Hold it down. And then once you have the Alt or Option key held down, you're going to press on your trackpad. And then you're going to let go of your trackpad, and you're going to let go of your Alt or Option key. And now you're going to bring your paintbrush over that tag, and you're going to paint. Oh, you need to have all layers selected. So go up to the top of the screen, see where it says current layer. No. Current layer. The word current layer. Yeah, you're going to click on all layers. Perfect. And now do it again where you have to make a selection again.
To what?
So do it again where you have to go to the collar and then hold down the Alt or Option key on your keyboard, and then press on your trackpad, and then let go, and then paint over that. Okay, good. And there you go, and you are done with him. So you have half of your project done. And then all those tools that you used, the spot healing, the clone stamp, you can use those on your other picture. Anything else I can help you with? See, it's not hard. You're not lost. Need help with anything else?
I don't know. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. And feel free to come to my multi-session on Wednesday or Thursday, and I'd love to help you further.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Okay, cool. You did great. You're halfway done with the assignment. All you have to do is
but that.
Oh, you're doing great. You got it. You will have no problem.